Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel. David White coming to you like arrest detention of Emefiele company, Atmosphere AG Plus. In a moment. Afternoon from the judiciary, where another Abuja High Court has voided the arrest and detention. Delivering judgment, Justice Bello Kawu held that the arrest of Justice M.A. Hassan Emefiele, through his counsel, Peter Abang, had asked the court to set aside and nullify the arrest delivered on 29 December 2022. The DSS for the arrest of Emefiele in connection with the allegation. The court further granted an injunction restraining the respondent. The court finally granted an order of injunction directing and mandating the respondents, particularly the DSS, to forthwith release and the Presidential Election Petition Court (PEPC) has reserved judgment in the petition by the Allied People's Movement (APM) to contest having allegedly engaged in double nomination, after parties adopted their final written address to parties. Justice Amani added that the court plans to deliver a judgment in the petition by the APM the same day with those of the People's Democratic Party and Labour. Former Governor of Imo State, Rochas Okorocha, by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), the court described the EFCC's charges of fraud and abuse of office and his judgment on the fact that the EFCC has filed a similar charge against the former Imo State Governor at the Federal High Court, which case was decided upon in favor of the former governor in the same Okorocha, bordering on diversion of public funds and properties to the tune of 2.9 billion naira. To the number one citizen of Nigeria, Uku Apolopolo Eware II, Oba of Benin, in the State House. At the time of filing this report, it was not clear what occasioned the August visit. However, there are suggestions issue as they concern the Nigerian people. It would be recalled that in May, the federal government appointed the Oba of Benin, Eware II, as the chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. The vice-chancellor of the university, Professor Olufemi Peters, who announces when the management of the institution paid a courtesy visit to the Oba of Benin City, Edo State, assured that the fortunes of the university would improve. Away from that, the federal government has disclosed that 11 successor electricity companies have applied for a review of their respective electricity tariffs. Disclosing this through a notice published by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NERC) today, the federal government said the request for rate review is premised on the need to incorporate changes in macroeconomic parameters and other factors affecting the quality of service operations and sustainability of the companies. In the notice, NERC stated that this CO's request for rate review is in pursuant. Meanwhile, the federal government has cautioned state governments to be mindful of the session of the National Labour Advisory Council meeting in Uyo. Daju said that it was worrisome to see state government establish ministries and Department of Labour petrol subsidy. There was a need to make conscious efforts to view the meeting as their contribution to nation building, assuring them of the ministry's commitments to improving. The government, through the Ministry of Interior, has commenced a review of the draft handbook on citizenship administration in Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Oluwatoyin Akinlade, in a statement disclosed that the government was reacting to speculations on the social media that the card cost had increased from $2,000 to $3,000. Akinlade, while giving the assurance that the ongoing review of the draft handbook on citizenship administration in Nigeria would be implemented to serve as a robust guideline that will drive the citizenship administration, urged Nigerians to disregard the misinformation. From the Red Chambers, the Senate has approved President Bola Tinubu's request for the sum of 800 million loan as additional funds for the financing of the National Society Safety Net program set up by the National Assembly. Report says that the Senate also amended the 2022 supplementary budget following Tinubu's request for the approval. Recall that the president's request was contained in a letter he forwarded to the upper chamber. Tinubu explained that the Federal Executive Council, led by former President Muhammadu Buhari, had approved an additional loan facility to the tune of $800 million. The basic facility was to expand coverage of shock-responsive safety net support for all and vulnerable Nigerians. Friends of Speakers of State Legislatures of Nigeria, Abubakar Suleiman, has declared that state houses of assembly in Nigeria have become financially autonomous. Suleiman disclosed that the country's constitution had been successful. Chairman made this known during the induction of State House speakers in Abuja. The chairman, who is also he expressed confidence that autonomy would bolster legislative institutions at the state level and ultimately ensure sound government-based energy conservation company, Atmosphere AG, for the establishment of technology in the state. This was the outcome of a meeting of the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Pastor Moino, with the national team on climate change led by architect Ezekiel Nyaituk. At the state government house, Uyo, Governor Eno assured on architect Nyaituk for using his contact to make Akwa Ibom leverage on the climate change initiative. He assured of the readiness of the state government to key into the energy transition plan of the Fed took for looking beyond party lines and his decision to attract the company to the state, describing him as a patriotic citizen with primal consideration for the development of the state, and urged others to emulate his sterling qualities to chart a way forward using the Arise Agenda blueprint, adding that the climate change will be clinically analyzed for full integration and implementation in the state. Earlier, the leader of the team, architect Ezekiel Nyaituk, had expressed appreciation to the governor for granting audience to the team despite the short notice, with Vice President as Vice Chairman and 11 ministers, National Security Advisor, Central Bank Governor, and members of the Advisory Board. Nyaituk noted that with a budget of about $7 billion for Africa, with Nigeria as an integral member, which he recommended as one of the amnesty programs scheduled in the South-South region of the country. He said Atmosphere AG has thanked the governor for readily keying into the initiative. On his part, the Director General National Council on Climate Change in Nigeria, Dahiru, commended the state for developing the climate change infrastructures, which would enable it to enjoy the support and funding from World Bank and other international donor agencies. After the country's highest court upheld a ruling that he should return to complete a 15-month term for contempt of court, dismissing an appeal seeking to keep him out of government and would seek legal advice. Zuma served as president from 2009 to 2018 before being forced out by graft scandals. He was sentenced in June 2021 after refusing to testify before a panel probing financial sleaze and cronyism under his tenure, overturned and has now been confirmed. And still in Africa, the International Criminal Court said ethnic violence has surged in Darfur as part of the conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary groups and the burning of homes and markets. Khan added that the investigation would be conducted under an existing mandate for the fort dating back to 2005. And now to the foreign scene, Russia President Vladimir Putin says Wagner mercenary group head the army. Putin told newsmen that many group commanders had backed the plan to be led by on 23 to 24 June that challenged Putin's authority. And still on the foreign scene, India has launched a rocket 6 to reach new heights. Report says the heavyweight LVM-3 to M4 rocket lifted off from Shikarikota in the southern state of Andhra Pradesh, carrying the Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft as thousands of enthusiasts clapped and cheered. Meanwhile, the world's most populous nation has accomplished its powers. Only Russia, the United States, and China have previously achieved a controlled landing on the lunar surface. India's last attempt to do so ended in and still to come in the news. Bantamweight stars Sergio Pettis and Pachimik sign extensions with Bellator. To stay with us. Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. And now to business. In business, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) Capital Importation Report for 2023 Q1 has shown that foreign investments to the manufacturing sector dropped by 35% from 392.5 million. According to the report, the total capital importation into Nigeria in Q1 2023 stood at $1.1 billion, lower than $1.5 billion recorded in Q1 2022, indicating a decrease of 28%. Report says that while the banking sector recorded the highest inflow of $304.5 million, representing 26.89% of total capital imported in Q1 of 2023. And still in business, the president of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Nasima Deloye, is private sector of Nigeria at the stakeholders sensitization workshop and public presentation of the 2023 to 2027 trade and investment policies for Nigeria. Argued President Tinubu's led administration for the launch of the trade and investment policies for Nigeria. He also said that it was gratifying to see the policy prioritize the growth of small and medium enterprises in the informal sector, which were the backbone of the Nigeria's economy. Oye noted that the policy document was a blueprint that sets the tone for Nigerian businesses and investors to realize their potential. A World Health Organization agency, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, has declared that aspartame, an artificial sweetener widely used in diet drinks and low-sugar foods, could possibly cause cancer. A press statement, genic to humans on the basis of limited evidence for cancer in humans, specifically for hepatocellular carcinoma, which is a type of liver cancer. The World Health Organization agency, however, said aspartame is safe to consume within a daily limit of 40 various food and beverages products, and since the 1980s, including diet drinks, chewing gum, gelatin, ice cream, dairy products such as yogurt, breakfast cereal, toothpaste. A medical researcher at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Yaba, Lagos, Dr. Oluwabemiga Aina, says Nigeria should embrace other malaria prevention measures to avoid the country's exclusion from the list of African countries selected to benefit from the malaria rollout, impacting negatively on the fight against the killer disease. The Deputy Director of Research at the Center for Research in Traditional, Complementary and Alternative Medicine, Biochemistry and Nutrition Department, NIMR, in an interview with Newsman, said not having the malaria vaccine will increase the malaria burden if Nigeria fails to step up other interventions. Reports say that Nigeria was excluded from the list of African countries to benefit from the 18 million doses of the first ever RTS. As SNA area is Nigeria, rather, is a malaria endemic country. The country could also, in the absence of the vaccine, reduce its high malaria burden by increasing testing, treating and tracking. In the world of sport, bantamweight fighter Sergio Pettis has agreed a new contract after upsetting the odds to beat two weight champions Patricio Pitbull Ferreira in June. Meanwhile, mixed age 29 won the bantamweight Grand Prix and interim title in Pettis injured Achuleta in the bantamweight title fight in 2020. And still in sports, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, Canada, and Mexico. Nigeria qualifies. Reports say the official draw for the 2026 global event was met and FIFA President Gianni Infantino in Abidjan. According to report, a total of 54 African nations will compete for the available 9.5 allocated spots for Africa, with the qualifiers officially. The 8th edition of the Big Brother Niger television reality show is to premiere July 23 as an all-star show with housemates from the 7 previous editions. Executive head, Content in West Africa Channel's Multi-Choice Nigeria, Dr. Bushola Tejumola, disclosed this during a media briefing held in Lagos at 7 p.m. West African time. She said the overall winner of the show would be walking away with 120 million cash prize, as well as other prizes. And still on entertainment, the globe-trotting West African folktale CJ Fairy Obesi's Mummy September 8 as a date for the movie's local premiere writing. Reports say that the upcoming celebrating West African folktale is one of the most anticipated movies by the Nigerian filmmaker since making its world premiere at Sundance earlier this year. The movie has screened across the world, had its African premiere at FESPACO, picking up great reviews, several awards, and international deals along the way. Social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website spectrum.ng. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SpectrumT Online, all as one word. You've been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am